Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we have an absolute banger, some news that I am just so excited about, and this all has to do with Tesla and Bitcoin in a recent SEC filing in which they announced that not only have they purchased $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, but in the future they will also be accepting Bitcoin as a payment option, which I think is kind of one of the underrated aspects of this filing that people aren't taking into account as well, because that could potentially lead to a lot of revenue in the future. In this video, we're going to be going through all of these specific details in the filings, discussing this, and also just me talking about my opinion on this, because I think this has been sort of a polarizing decision. I've seen some people that have actually sold their stock today. Some others are really excited about this. If you are a person that owns Bitcoin and only Bitcoin, then you completely understand why this is a good play. At least in my opinion, I think this is an excellent decision, and it just restores my faith in Tesla anymore. Not as if I didn't have any faith or was losing faith in Tesla, but it just gives me more confidence in them making decisions, and sometimes even risky decisions, that although there is some risk aspect to that it can be very rewarding in the long term. And I feel like this is certainly one of those scenarios if they continue to add to this Bitcoin balance sheet. But just this purchase alone is very exciting for me. And in regards to this, let's just go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin currently. It did hit an all-time high today. We are at $43,187 per Bitcoin right now, and as you can see, the chart is just at an all-time high. And I have been purchasing Bitcoin ever since December 16th. 2020 was really the wake-up call for me on Bitcoin. It was never as if I had doubted it, but I just never purchased some until then. I think some of the barrier to me purchasing was just starting up an exchange account and getting used to actually paying fees for each purchase and things like that. But as I stated, I started investing in Bitcoin on December 16th, and pretty much since then, and as I've been hearing about Michael Saylor having some discussions with Elon Musk about adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet, I was really hoping that we would eventually see this happen, and I started to get a little bit of confidence that it could potentially happen, because I noticed in some of the interviews with Michael Saylor, consistently they would press him on the issue of, have you talked to Elon Musk about this issue, and if so, what have these discussions been like? And if you don't know, Michael Saylor is the CEO of MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy was one of the first publicly traded companies to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet, and with those interviews where he was asked about whether he talked to Elon Musk on it, he would kind of hint around the idea that they've had some discussions, but he said, if we did have those discussions, I will certainly not disclose any of it here. And so with that, I kind of started to consider that maybe they were talking seriously about this, and that Elon Musk could potentially be planning on adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. I just wasn't sure how much and whether this would actually happen, but I'm just so excited about this because I think it adds a lot of value even more to Tesla, because at the end of the day, they have around $20 billion in cash right now. That $1.5 billion purchase is around 7.5% of Tesla's cash balance. So that really gets me excited because it's a significant portion of the balance, and I think in the long term that will be very rewarding and will grow tremendously. With my perspective on their cash position, I understand that some of those funds are going to be needed, especially as they have to ramp up production, add on to certain gigafactories, eventually construct more gigafactories across the world, and just contribute overall to expanding Tesla's business and the different aspects of their business. But at the end of the day, I kind of view it as like a barrel, and you have it filled up to a certain point, but as Tesla continues to generate revenue, they add to that cash position. And if we think about that $1.5 billion out of the current $20 billion, let's view that $1.5 billion as if it's at the bottom of the barrel. As they continue to generate revenue and put more money in that barrel, it really gets hard to see a point where Tesla uses every single bit of their cash to where they're finally down to that last $1.5 billion. I think they'll just keep on adding and adding to where it's pretty much impossible for them to spend so much to the point where they reach that bottom of the barrel. So in the meantime, we have that $1.5 billion and likely much more than that just sitting at the bottom of the barrel and not generating significant interest or anything like that. So in my perspective, with this significant cash position that Tesla has, I don't think that we will eventually get down to that last couple of $1 billion. I think they'll continue to generate revenue. They're already pretty efficient on spending. They know not to waste money and things like that. So it would be very difficult, in my opinion, for Tesla to get to the bottom of the barrel to the point where they would actually be left with just a couple of $1 billion. Maybe in the future they'll start to spend more on gigafactories and things like that, but like I said, I expect them to generate more revenue and add to that barrel of cash. So I just see that bottom of the barrel as a part that's never really going to be reached. So in the meantime, might as well generate a significant amount of interest on it and purchase something worthwhile like Bitcoin. And in my opinion, Bitcoin is the perfect long-term investment. I view it as a multi-generational investment. And if we eventually see widespread adoption of Bitcoin, not only among institutions, but retail investors as well, I just see it as the perfect long-term investment. I also view Tesla as a fantastic long-term investment, in which I take that similar perspective on Bitcoin, where I view it as a pretty solid thing to just simply dollar cost average into. So in my opinion, Bitcoin is the perfect long-term investment. And with that being said, that's pretty good if Tesla wants to generate interest over time over money that is not going to be needed to be taken out of the barrel anytime soon as they continue to generate more cash and things like that. We also have to think about the fact that with that $20,000 in fiat money, it is being debased. So it's basically being worth less and less over time. We have that $1.9 trillion stimulus package coming up, and it's just more and more money being printed. So the cash that is in the reserves is being debased for Tesla, and they need to outpace that debasement. So in my opinion, they're actually doing us shareholders a favor by purchasing something like Bitcoin. And also, by the way, if you enjoy Tesla videos, please make sure to smash that like button. And also, feel free to check out my referral link to Coinbase in the description below. If you are going to spend $100 on Bitcoin, the best way to spend that first 100, in my opinion, is on Coinbase. It actually ends up making it cheaper than any of these other cheaper exchanges like Coinbase Pro or Binance US, because with that first $100 that you spend, if you use my referral link, you'll also get another $10 in Bitcoin added on top of that. So it basically covers the fees, and you get a little bit extra in Bitcoin as well. And who knows, that extra $10 in Bitcoin that you get as a referral bonus, that may end up being more than the actual initial $100 investment. Of course, anything that I say in this video is not to be considered financial advice. This is me just simply sharing my thoughts and opinions. But if you do plan on buying Bitcoin anyways, or if you just want to have a small position, that is honestly the best way to do it. Just feel free to use my referral link in the description. And with that $100 purchase of Bitcoin, you'll get that extra $10. That's the best way to strategize that first small purchase of Bitcoin, in my opinion, because like I said, even with fees factored in and everything, even on the exchanges with the cheapest fees, it ends up being cheaper, even though Coinbase is actually a lot more on normal fees than like Coinbase Pro or Binance US. But with that promotion, it actually ends up making it cheaper than all of those. So that's just an option as well. And you can get like $36 to $40 in different cryptocurrencies that you can convert to Bitcoin. So that's basically $40 in Bitcoin that you could end up getting if you fill out those quizzes and convert those different cryptocurrencies to Bitcoin. That's what I did. I honestly can't believe they're letting people do that, because it is like $40 in Bitcoin. Once you're done with it, it takes like 20 minutes. But let's get right over here to the Form 10K SEC filing for Tesla. It begins right here in bold by stating, we hold and may acquire digital assets that may be subject to volatile market prices, impairment, and unique risks of loss. Continuing, it states, in January 2021, we updated our investment policy to provide us with more flexibility to further diversify and maximize returns on our cash that is not required to maintain adequate operating liquidity. As part of the policy, which was duly approved by the audit committee of our board of directors, we may invest a portion of such cash in certain alternative reserve assets, including digital assets, gold bullion, gold exchange traded funds, and other assets as specified in the future. Thereafter, we invested an aggregate $1.5 billion in Bitcoin under this policy and may acquire and hold digital assets from time to time or long term. Moreover, we expect to begin accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for our products in the near future, subject to applicable laws and initially on a limited basis, which we may or may not liquidate upon receipt. So I think it actually mentions here the digital assets, gold bullion, gold exchange traded funds, and other assets. I think mentioning options like that instead of just saying we may consider buying more Bitcoin in the future, that gives them a little bit more leeway. I don't see them personally ever buying anything like gold or anything like that. I honestly don't expect to see them acquiring any sort of other cryptocurrency. I think Bitcoin will be the only one that Tesla accepts. Now, of course, I could be wrong. That's personally just my opinion and my prediction. And then as it states, they may liquidate it or hold it for the long term. I think the best move for Tesla would just simply accept that. If it is a purchase, accept it from the customer and not liquidate that for fiat money. I think they should just hold it in with their positions as well. I think the best play that Tesla can make with this is to just hold it for the long term. Forget all of the volatility. Even if there's a Bitcoin crash, just forget all of that and hold it for the long term. HODL, as they say. I think that's the ideal move. And hopefully Elon Musk thinks the same way with that as well. And then it continues stating, the prices of digital assets have been in the past and may continue to be highly volatile, including as a result of various associated risks and uncertainties. For example, the prevalence of such assets is a relatively recent trend, and their long-term adoption by investors, consumers, and businesses is unpredictable. Moreover, their lack of a physical form, their reliance on technology for their creation, existence, and transactional validation, and their decentralization may subject their integrity to the threat of malicious attacks and technological obsolescence. Finally, the extent to which securities laws or other regulations apply or may apply in the future to such assets is unclear and may change in the future. If we hold digital assets and their values decrease relative to our purchase prices, our financial condition may be harmed. Right there is just a little bit of disclosure on the risk that they're taking by purchasing Bitcoin. Like I said, it's a total alpha play, and it's something that I'm just so excited to see happen out of Tesla. I already know they're on the cutting edge of technology, but it's just so nice to see them make a play like this instead of just sitting on so much cash and doing nothing with it. I mean, look at Apple. I absolutely love Apple, but they have $200 billion in cash, and this does make me question in the future whether Apple may end up purchasing some Bitcoin with that huge cash reserve that they have. But it's just nice to see, compared to a lot of these other technology companies, that Tesla is one of the first to do this. We had MicroStrategy do this in the past. Michael Saylor is just a visionary in my opinion, but it's just really nice to see this as someone who already loves Tesla, believes in the company long term. I think they're doing great things and they're going to revolutionize the world in technology. It's nice to see this happening and that Tesla is not being complacent on risky decisions that can pay off very well. It then continues, moreover, digital assets are currently considered indefinite-lived intangible assets under applicable accounting rules, meaning that any decrease in their fair values below our carrying values for such assets at any time subsequent to their acquisition will require us to recognize impairment charges, whereas we may make no upward revisions for any market price increases until a sale, which may adversely affect our operating results in any period in which such impairment occurs. Moreover, there is no guarantee that future changes in GAAP will not require us to change the way we account for digital assets held by us. This little section right here kind of notes the fact that there could be some opportunity for those that understand Tesla's position in holding Bitcoin compared to what is actually being reported. There could potentially be some purchase opportunities based onto the general reaction of Tesla's Bitcoin holdings, and for those that understand the nuance of this situation and for those that don't. Next, it says, finally, as intangible assets without centralized issuers or governing bodies, digital assets have been and may in the future be subject to security breaches, cyber attacks, or other malicious activities, as well as human errors or computer malfunctions that may result in the loss or destruction of private keys needed to access such assets. While we intend to take all reasonable measures to secure any digital assets, if such threats are realized or the measures or controls we create or implement to secure our digital assets fail, it could result in a partial or total misappropriation or loss of our digital assets, and our financial condition and operating results may be harmed. We then have in bold, we are exposed to fluctuations in currency exchange rates. It then states we transact businesses globally in multiple currencies and have foreign currency risks related to our revenue, cost of revenue, operating expenses, and localized subsidiary debt-denominated currencies other than the US dollar, currently primarily the Chinese yuan, euro, Canadian dollar, and British pound. To the extent we have significant revenues denominated in such foreign currencies, any strengthening of the US dollar would tend to reduce our revenues as measured in US dollars, as we have historically experienced. In addition, a portion of our costs and expenses have been, and we anticipate will continue to be, denominated in foreign currencies, including the Chinese yuan and Japanese yen. If we do not have fully offsetting revenues in these currencies, and if the value of the US dollar depreciates significantly against these currencies, our costs as measured in US dollars as a percent of our revenues will correspondingly increase and our margins will suffer. Moreover, while we undertake limited hedging activities intended to offset the impact of currency translation exposure, it is impossible to predict or eliminate such impact. As a result, our operating results may be harmed. This is pretty important because for those that don't understand Bitcoin, it does provide the downside, and they're having full disclosure on the potential downsides of them owning things like Bitcoin. So that definitely provides a lot of valuable insight. But like I said, overall, this is a decision that I'm just so excited about. I don't think I've been excited about a Tesla news piece like this since maybe the Cybertruck unveiling, and you all know how much I love the Cybertruck. I said that if we ever hit 100,000 subscribers that I would purchase a Cybertruck. That offer still stands. I know I need to get back on the grind with the daily videos and things like that, but this just got me so excited because I'm a Bitcoin bull, and I do not think Tesla is late whatsoever to the train. They're right on time. They adopted Bitcoin a lot earlier than most financial institutions and most publicly traded companies, and I think we will start to see other companies follow suit in the future. I have a lot of interest in what Apple does in the future as well. That may be a topic to explore in the future. But anyways, I just wanted to share this news piece, my thoughts on it. So as always, please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed. Feel free to take advantage of my referral link to Coinbase if you would like to get that extra $10 in Bitcoin for free. And also check out Webull as well. I don't know if they're offering 4 or 2 free stocks, but I'll leave my link in the description below for that as well if you'd like to get some free stocks. And of course, you can get a free stock to Robinhood as well. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.